The sun falls over the savanna, the air vibrates with tension. The lion, fierce force, imposing presence, the supreme king of all creatures. Stalking, patience, an explosion of deadly speed. But in the savanna, the hunt does not always end there. Here it is in the spotted one. Resistance, numbers, constant hunger. It does not attack immediately. It encircles, waits, exhausts. Here, power does not always roar. Sometimes it simply never retreats. Welcome to wild Tanzania, the kingdom of the great predators. In the heart of East Africa, where the borders of Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya meet, Lake Victoria stretches like an infinite inland sea. More than 68,000 square kilometers of fresh water make it the largest lake in Africa and the second largest in the world by surface area. It is a body of water so vast that on its western shore, you cannot see the eastern bank. Clouds form above it and break against its surface in sudden afternoon storms. It breathes like a living thing, expanding with the rains, shrinking in the dry months, always shifting, always restless. The lake is ancient, but not in the way mountains are ancient. Scientists believe the current Lake Victoria is only around 15,000 years old, a geological infant. It dried completely at some point in the distant past, and everything alive in it today descends from creatures that repopulated it from the rivers that feed it. This history of collapse and rebirth is written into the DNA of every fish, every crocodile, every hippo that calls this water home. Survival is not an abstract concept here, it is the oldest memory in the water. At first glance, its mirrored surface conveys tranquility, but beneath it, the true spectacle of nature unfolds. An eternal dispute for survival. The water is warm and murky, stained amber by tannic acids from the surrounding forests. Visibility drops to almost nothing below 2 meters. In those depths, creatures hunt by vibration, by pressure wave, by the ancient chemical signals that predate vision itself. This is a world governed by senses humans do not possess, where predator and prey navigate a darkness we can barely imagine. In the calm, warm waters of Victoria, one of the most imposing protagonists of African wildlife reigns silently. Around 30,000 hippopotamuses, amphibious hippos, share this territory, occupying banks, channels, and flooded areas. To stand on the shore of Lake Victoria at midday and look out across the water is to see a landscape dotted with what appear to be smooth gray boulders. They are not boulders. Every one of them breathes. Every one of them is watching. During the day, these aquatic giants remain submerged, as if they were part of the landscape. Only their bulging eyes and nostrils emerge timidly at the surface, revealing the presence of these colossi that can weigh up to 3,800 kilograms. A large male hippopotamus weighs as much as a small car. He carries that weight with surprising ease in the water, where buoyancy reduces his effective mass to almost nothing. He becomes, in the water, almost graceful. Almost. Their thick, oily skin with its peculiar grayish tone serves not only as protection against predator attacks or rival challenges, but also against the scorching sun that punishes the region. Hippo skin secretes a natural sunscreen, a reddish-orange liquid sometimes called blood sweat, though it is neither blood nor sweat. It is an antimicrobial moisturizer, a biological innovation so effective that researchers have studied it for decades in the hope of replicating it synthetically. While submerged, they keep their body temperature regulated and avoid dehydration, a perfect strategy of adaptation. They can sleep underwater, rising to breathe every 3 to 5 minutes in a reflex, so deeply automatic it does not even wake them. Beneath the water, the social world of hippos is far more complex than their surface stillness suggests. Males maintain territories along the riverbanks and lake shores, boundaries invisible to human eyes but absolute in hippopotamus society. The dominant bull patrols his stretch of water with a territorial ferocity that belies his apparently placid floating. Challenges between males are among the most violent confrontations in the animal kingdom. 2 animals each weighing over 3 tons, their enormous canine teeth, which can exceed 50 centimeters in length, clashing in battles that leave deep gashes across the thick hide, scars that map a lifetime of contest and survival. But when twilight covers the lake and darkness brings relief from the heat, the hippos emerge, slow and heavy. They leave the safety of the waters to explore the banks and surrounding pastures. Each night, they can travel up to 3 kilometers in search of the vegetation necessary to sustain their massive bodies, consuming up to 40 kilograms of grass. To watch a hippo on land is to understand why they stay in the water. They lumber, they lurch, they leave tracks like small craters in the wet mud of the shore. They are not built for land. Every step is a negotiation between gravity and biology. And yet they make this journey, every single night, because the alternative, starvation, is worse than the discomfort. They carve sinuous and deep trails, visible marks of their passage and of the influence they exert on the ecosystem. Without knowing it, they are the architects of the landscape. These trails, worn over decades and generations, channel water flow during floods, creating new wetland habitats that serve dozens of other species. The dung hippos deposit in the water, enormous quantities of it, fertilizes algae and microscopic organisms at the base of the lake's food web, feeding fish that feed birds that feed the whole shore. A single hippo, simply by existing, shapes an ecosystem. But the waters of Lake Victoria also hide relentless hunters. Among the shadows of the reeds and thick mud live between 20,000 and 30,000 Nile crocodiles, the most feared predators of this vast aquatic kingdom. If the hippo is the architect of the lakeshore, the crocodile is its executioner, patient, invisible, and absolute. Their robust bodies can reach 5 meters in length and weigh more than 1,000 kilograms. A true natural tank designed to ambush and kill. But that clinical description misses something essential about the crocodile. To see one in the water, really see it, knowing what it is to feel something primal. The brain recognizes it before the conscious mind does. There is a cold, wordless fear that rises when you understand you are looking at something that has remained almost completely unchanged for 80 million years. Whatever dinosaurs feared in the water, this was it. With colors ranging between gray and olive green, the skin of these reptiles blends into the scenery, guaranteeing perfect camouflage. A crocodile submerged to its nostrils is nearly indistinguishable from a waterlogged log. This resemblance is not accidental. It has been selected for over geological time, each generation slightly better at disappearing. The crocodile does not need to be fast in its approach. It needs only to be invisible, and in that, it is perfect. During the day, they rest motionless on the banks, or partially submerged with only their eyes and nostrils above the water. They are silent sentinels, waiting for any sign of carelessness. Crocodile eyes are positioned on the top of the skull and are equipped with a special transparent third eyelid, the nictitating membrane, that protects the eye underwater while maintaining vision. They can see in color. They see ultraviolet light. Their vision in low-light conditions is extraordinary, and those eyes miss nothing. The crocodile's attack is always an explosion of force and precision. Capable of swimming at 32 kilometers per hour, they wait for the right moment to strike at fish, birds, mammals, and even hippopotamus calves that venture near the banks. The crocodile's bite force is the strongest of any animal measured on Earth, over 3,700 pounds per square inch, compared to the lion's 650 or the human's 150. Once those jaws close, nothing opens them from the outside, nothing. And then begins the most feared ritual in nature, the death roll. With a crushing bite, the crocodile grips the prey and begins to spin violently underwater, destroying flesh and bone. The physics of this technique are brutally simple. A crocodile cannot chew. Its teeth are designed for gripping, not processing. So it tears, spinning until chunks of flesh separate cleanly. The victim has no chance of escape. Within minutes, the body is dragged to the bottom and the cycle of life closes once more in the murky waters of Lake Victoria. But the function of these predators goes beyond hunting. By eliminating weaker, sick, or distracted animals, the Nile crocodiles help maintain the ecological balance, regulating populations and reducing the spread of disease. In many ways, the crocodile is the lake's immune system, removing the compromised, the careless, the dying, keeping the populations of prey animals sharp, alert, and healthy. Far from the calm shores of Lake Victoria, the vast golden plains of the Serengeti stretch as far as the eye can see. Here the horizon seems infinite, broken only by the silhouette of a few solitary trees and the incessant movement of the greatest land migration on the planet. The Serengeti is not simply a place, it is a concept, the wild, distilled to its most essential form. When early explorers first saw it, they struggled to describe it. There is no adequate reference point. It is simply the largest, oldest, most complete expression of African savanna life on Earth, a system that has been running continuously for millions of years, through ice ages and droughts and the rise of civilizations, uninterrupted, unstoppable. The name itself comes from the Masai language, Serengeti, meaning the place where the land runs on forever. Stand at its center at midday, in the dry season, with the grass yellow and the dust rising in spirals from the cracked earth, and you understand that name completely. The land does run on forever. In every direction, the same horizon, the same flat, burning immensity, and yet this apparent emptiness contains more life per square kilometer than almost anywhere else on Earth. Every year, more than 1.5 million wildebeest begin a colossal journey, an endless cycle, in search of fresh pasture and water. crossing arid territories, fording dangerous rivers, and facing lurking predators. A grand spectacle where survival is the prize for every step taken. The wildebeest is an animal of contradictions. It looks unfinished, a creature assembled from spare parts with the heavy front shoulders of a buffalo, the narrow hindquarters of an antelope, and the grizzled beard of something far older. It makes a sound like a frog, amplified to the size of a cow. A hollow, repetitive grunt that, multiplied across 1 million animals, becomes a sound unlike anything else on Earth. A living avalanche. A migration of muscle and instinct that has been flowing across this landscape for longer than our species has existed. The wildebeest, with their awkward appearance, robust bodies, and lowered heads, carry the strength of persistence. They travel more than 1,000 kilometers per year in search of the promise of food, crossing dry plains and treacherous rivers. This circuit is driven not by memory or planning, but by something more primitive and reliable, a response to the chemistry of the grass itself. As rainfall moves across the Serengeti ecosystem in a seasonal pattern, so does the nutritional quality of the grass. Wildebeest can detect these gradients over extraordinary distances, tracking the greenest, richest pasture as it shifts north and then south with the rains. They are following a chemical signal embedded in the landscape, a map written in molecules. It is estimated that along the way around 250,000 of them die, victims of hunger, exhaustion, drowning, and above all, the predators that follow the herd like a shadow. That number, 250,000, is staggering in its scale and yet somehow insufficient as a description of what it means. Each of those deaths is a transaction between predator and prey that has been occurring here for millions of years. Each body feeds something. Each lost wildebeest becomes lion cubs, crocodile mass, hyena young. The migration is not just a movement of animals. It is a movement of energy, cascading through the food web in waves. But not even that high rate of loss interrupts the cycle. Each season, new calves are born, replacing those left behind. It is life finding a way forward, even in the face of the greatest challenges. The calves are born in January and February, in the southern Serengeti, timed precisely with the first flush of nutritious short grass. A wildebeest calf must stand within minutes of birth and run within hours. There is no grace period. The savanna allows none. Within a few days of entering the world, a calf can keep pace with the herd at full gallop. Those that cannot, do not survive. This brutal filter has produced, over geological time, an animal that is born running. And wherever the wildebeest pass, predators wait. No one takes greater advantage of the migration than the lions of the Serengeti. Panthera leo. The park, with more than 14,000 square kilometers of diverse ecosystems, is home to the largest lion population in Africa. Around 3,000 individuals organized into powerful groups that can reach up to 40 members. The lion is the only truly social cat on Earth. Every other member of the family, Felidae, lives alone. The leopard, the cheetah, the tiger, the jaguar. The lion alone found a different solution to the challenges of survival. It built a community. And in doing so, it became the dominant predator of the African savanna, a position it has held for millions of years. The lions here are not just hunters. They are warriors who dominate the territory with a lethal combination of strength and strategy. While the males, with their imposing manes, patrol the borders and protect the group from invaders, it is the females who lead the hunts with impressive skill. The mane of a male lion is not decorative. It is a signal, a billboard of genetic quality. Studies have shown that darker, fuller manes indicate higher testosterone levels and overall health. Female lions consistently prefer darker-maned males. And rival males read the same information from across the savanna. A fully dark-maned adult lion is a warning that requires no words. But it is the females who make the pride function. The lionesses are the hunters, the mothers, the teachers, the memory of the group. They learn the territory, every waterhole, every kopje, every corridor through the bush. And they pass that knowledge to their daughters, who pass it to theirs. A pride's territory is not just a piece of land. It is a library of survival knowledge accumulated across generations. During the Great Migration, the Serengeti becomes a true battlefield. The lionesses position themselves around the herd, studying every movement of the wildebeest. When the moment is favorable, they advance, encircling the prey and attacking from different angles. A choreography of precision, where success depends on the synchrony and experience of each one. The hunt is a conversation between lionesses, conducted entirely without sound. A flicker of an ear, a lowered shoulder, a fractional shift in direction, and the whole coordinated mechanism adjusts. They have hunted together since they were cubs. They know each other's bodies, each other's speeds, each other's tendencies, better than any human teammate could. The statistics are clear. The lions of the Serengeti have a hunting success rate of 20 to 30%, higher than the species average in other regions of Africa. This is a direct reflection of the abundance of prey during the migration and the experience of these felines forged in the hard routine of the savanna. A lion in the Serengeti during migration is a lion in its ideal environment. Surrounded by prey on every side, in terrain it knows intimately, hunting with partners it has worked with for years. But the hunt is not always plentiful. In the dry season, when the pastures dry up and water becomes scarce, even the kings of the savanna face difficulties. At this time, lions travel long distances, sometimes more than 20 kilometers per day, in search of any hunting opportunity. Smaller prey, previously ignored, become fiercely contested. Cubs that would have survived comfortably in the wet season may die in the dry one. The lean months are the crucible in which the pride's resilience is tested and the weak are weeded out, from predator and prey alike. Despite the challenges, the role of lions in the Serengeti goes far beyond hunting. They are fundamental pieces of the ecosystem's balance. By controlling the populations of herbivores like the wildebeest, they also regulate vegetation growth, preventing the pastures from being consumed down to the roots. Each attack, each successful hunt, and each carcass left behind feeds not only the group, but also an infinite number of other species, from vultures to the most discreet nocturnal scavengers. A lion kill is a community event. Within an hour of a successful hunt, the savanna converges on the carcass: jackals, hyenas, vultures, marabou storks, beetles, bacteria, each taking their portion, each filling their role in the chain that ensures nothing is wasted. The roar of the lions echoes across the plains of the Serengeti, a constant reminder of the power of nature and the delicate web of life unfolding there. A lion's roar can be heard from 8 kilometers away on a still night. It is produced by a specially modified larynx, flat rather than triangular like the larynx of smaller cats, that allows the sound to resonate at a frequency designed to travel across open savanna. When a lion roars, it is not performing, it is communicating. It is marking territory, calling to pride members, warning rivals. The roar is information, and in the dark savanna, information is survival. While the lions command respect with their strength and dominance, there is another predator in the savannas of the Serengeti that prefers to act in the shadows, taking advantage of the chaos and the scraps left behind by the great hunters. Spotted hyenas, crocuta, roam this vast territory like restless shadows, always watching for the next opportunity. The hyena is one of the most misunderstood animals in Africa. Its reputation, built over centuries of folklore, reinforced by its cackling calls and hunched, skulking silhouette, is that of the cowardly scavenger, the parasite of the savanna. Almost every aspect of that reputation is wrong. The hyena is in fact one of the most sophisticated, intelligent, and effective predators on the continent. It simply lacks the aesthetic appeal of the lion, the grace of the cheetah, the mystique of the leopard. Science has had to work hard to overturn a narrative that culture embedded deeply. With a population of around 5,000 individuals, hyenas form organized clans led by dominant females, larger and stronger than the males. In this world governed by group rules, hierarchy is non-negotiable, and it is the alpha female who dictates the rhythm of the hunt and of survival. The female-led social structure of the spotted hyena is unique among carnivores. Female hyenas are larger, more aggressive, and socially dominant over males in every interaction. They eat first, they breed preferentially, they lead the clan in territorial disputes. The clan is, in every meaningful sense, a matriarchy. The intelligence of the spotted hyena is remarkable enough that researchers have compared it to primates. Hyenas can solve puzzles that baffle chimpanzees. They understand the concept of cause and effect. They recognize individual members of rival clans by voice alone. They can count. Studies have shown that hyenas assess the numerical strength of rival groups before deciding whether to stand their ground or retreat. They are strategic thinkers in a world that rewards strategy above almost everything else. Often underestimated and seen merely as scavengers, spotted hyenas are in fact skilled hunters. Their hunting efforts, especially in groups, can achieve a success rate of up to 50%, surpassing even the lions in some situations. During the Great Migration season, this rate rises even further, as the panic of the herbivores facilitates a precise attack. The hyena's hunting technique is based not on the explosive power of the lion or the speed of the cheetah, but on something more relentless: endurance. A hyena's cardiovascular system is extraordinary. Its heart, proportionally larger than any other carnivore of similar size, pumps oxygen to muscles that can operate at high intensity for distances that would kill a lion from exhaustion. With speeds reaching 60 kilometers per hour, Hyenas are tireless pursuers. They run long distances without losing breath, selecting the weakest or most isolated individuals from the herd. Once surrounded, the prey is brought down quickly and efficiently. And contrary to what many believe, hyenas waste nothing. Every part of the animal is used, from the flesh to the bones, with an efficiency that few species can match. Hyena teeth and digestive acids are among the most powerful of any mammal. They can crack femur bones that lions leave behind and extract the rich marrow within. They can digest hoof, horn, hair. A hyena can process what other predators cannot, and in doing so, they close the loop that others leave open. But hyenas do not live only on what they hunt. They are also masters of the art of theft. As strategists, they organize themselves to contest carcasses, confronting even the feared lions. It is not uncommon to see an entire clan advancing en masse, up to 30 animals, to drive away the big cats and take possession of the food. Around 40% of hyena theft attempts end in success, a figure that demonstrates not only their strength but also their intelligence. There is a popular image of lions stealing from hyenas that is the reverse of reality. At many African study sites, lions steal more from hyenas than hyenas steal from lions. The big cat takes from the clan because it can, not because it hunts better. When the Serengeti becomes a stage of carnage and competition, hyenas are the first to enter the dispute, guided by their characteristic whoops that echo across the savanna like a call to war. The whoop, a rising, haunting call that carries enormous distances across the flat plain, is not the sound of chaos. It is communication of the highest order. It tells other clan members where the food is, how much there is, how large the competition. It summons reinforcements. It coordinates action across distances of several kilometers. In the darkness of the Serengeti night, those calls triangulate the politics of survival. But not all predators in the region live in groups or expose their presence so openly. Among the shadows of the trees and scattered rocks, a solitary hunter moves with lethal discretion, the leopard. Panthera pardus. The Serengeti is home to between 1,000 and 1,200 of these silent felines, true golden ghosts that cross the territory without being noticed. Where the lion hunts in the open and the hyena hunts by endurance, the leopard hunts in the space between visibility and invisibility. It operates at the edges of things, the edge of the tree line, the edge of the light, the edge of attention. It is the predator that kills without ever being seen, that vanishes before the prey falls. Of all Africa's great predators, the leopard is perhaps the most fully evolved for its purpose. It is not the biggest or the fastest, but it is the most complete, capable of climbing, swimming, dragging, hiding, and adapting in ways that no other large cat can match. With a body covered in black rosettes on a golden-yellow background, each leopard is unique. No two coats are the same, functioning like fingerprints engraved by nature. The rosette pattern breaks up the solid outline of the leopard's body, an evolved disruption of form that makes a 5-foot, 60-kilogram animal essentially invisible in dappled light. The brain expects continuous outlines. The leopard's coat denies it those outlines, fragmenting the visual signal until nothing registers as predator, even when it is meters away. A master of camouflage and patience, the leopard prefers to hunt in the first light of morning or at dusk, when the savanna is covered in shadows and prey relaxes its vigilance. Its favorite victims are Thompson's gazelles and zebra foals, vulnerable targets, but still difficult to capture. With an explosive leap, the leopard reaches speeds of up to 58 kilometers per hour, aiming with deadly precision at the throat or the nape of its prey. It is a fast, calculated attack where there is no room for error. Its success rate, which reaches 40%, demonstrates the mastery of this technique. That number, 40%, is remarkable. A lion succeeds once in 5 attempts. The leopard succeeds twice in 5. The difference is not physical superiority, but tactical. The leopard almost never attempts a hunt it hasn't already won in its mind. The leopard's approach to a hunt is a masterclass in patience. It may spend 20 to 30 minutes moving through grass so slowly that individual blades return to vertical after it passes. It freezes when the prey raises its head. It advances when the prey grazes. The whole negotiation can last an hour. A slow-motion chess match played in silence and stillness. And then, from perhaps 4 meters away, it is over in a fraction of a second. The prey rarely has time to register what happened. But the leopard goes beyond brute force. Its true advantage lies in its ability to adapt to different environments, whether in vast open plains, dense shrubland, or rocky regions. This hunter integrates into the landscape as if it were part of it. The leopard is found across a broader geographic and ecological range than any other wild cat, from the Serengeti to the snowline of the Himalayas, from dense rainforests to semi-arid desert margins. This adaptability is the leopard's defining trait. It can eat almost anything. It can live almost anywhere. In a world of specialists, the leopard is a generalist of genius. Once the prey is brought down, the leopard rarely consumes it on the ground. Knowing the risks of losing its food to hyenas or lions, it drags the carcass up into the trees, far from the eyes and claws of rivals. There, suspended among the branches, it feeds calmly, savoring every part of its conquest. The feat of strength required to hoist a prey animal weighing twice the leopard's body weight up a vertical tree trunk is extraordinary. It requires not just raw power but technique, a specific combination of grip, leverage, and controlled exertion that leopards learn through practice. A young leopard learning to cache its kills in trees will fail repeatedly, losing carcasses to hyenas, before mastering the technique that will keep it fed for the rest of its life. But the leopard's role does not end with the hunt. By controlling populations of medium-sized herbivores, it helps preserve the balance of the Serengeti. Without its presence, the pastures could be devastated and the natural cycle disrupted. The leopard exists in those middle layers of the food web that are often invisible to casual observers but essential to the system's function. Remove the leopard and a dozen populations of medium-sized browsers and grazers begin to grow unchecked, each one overgrazing its niche, diminishing the habitat for the species below and beside it. In the vast golden expanse of the Serengeti, where the horizon disappears from view and the heat of the ground shimmers in the air, speed is often the only guarantee of survival, and among all the predators of this relentless land, none masters the art of running like the cheetah. Acinonyx jubatus. The cheetah is what happens when evolution is given a single constraint and told to optimize completely around it. Make it fast. Everything else is negotiable. The result is an animal that has sacrificed mass for aerodynamics, bite force for acceleration, sociability for agility. The cheetah cannot roar. Its larynx, unlike the lion's, is rigid, incapable of the resonant rumble that defines the big cats. It chirps instead, and purrs. It is the only big cat that purrs on both inhale and exhale, the way a domestic cat does. In so many ways, the cheetah seems almost domestic beside the raw ferocity of its relatives. With a population of between 200 and 300 individuals, the cheetah turns the savanna into a true racetrack. Its lean, muscular body is pure aerodynamics. The long legs, the extremely flexible spine, and the semi-retractable claws make it the perfect high-speed hunting machine. The cheetah's spine functions as a spring. It extends during the stride, increasing the length of each step, then compresses and launches forward again like a coiled mechanism. At full speed, the cheetah is airborne for more of each stride than it is in contact with the ground. It is, for fractions of seconds at a time, flying. When the prey is spotted, usually a Thompson's gazelle or a young wildebeest, the cheetah hides in the tall grass, reducing its silhouette to a minimum. Every muscle in its body tenses in silence, waiting for the exact moment to strike. The cheetah stalks not to get within ambush distance, but to get close enough that the explosive phase of the hunt can be completed before the prey reaches full speed. A gazelle at full gallop can sustain speeds of 70 to 80 kilometers per hour almost indefinitely. A cheetah at full speed can reach 120 kilometers per hour, but only for 30 seconds before its body temperature rises to dangerous levels. The race is not just about speed. It is about the margin, the lead, the closing distance before biology imposes its limits. And then, like a golden arrow released, it explodes into a run that defies the limits of nature. Within seconds, the cheetah reaches speeds between 80 and 130 kilometers per hour, covering 6 to 7 meters with each stride. But this lightning pursuit lasts only a short time, 20 to 30 seconds of pure adrenaline, where victory or defeat is decided in the blink of an eye. The cheetah uses its long, flat tail as a rudder during the chase, swinging it to counterbalance sharp directional changes, maintaining trajectory as the gazelle cuts and feints. This tail rudder is unique to the cheetah and is one of the adaptations that allows it to track a prey animal through the kind of rapid directional changes that would send any other predator skidding wide. Unlike the great cats that hunt in groups, the cheetah prefers to act alone, or at most in small family groups. Precision is its greatest weapon. A successful attack is always fast and precise, targeting the neck or legs of the prey, bringing it down before its breath runs out. But the cheetah's victory is always fragile. As soon as the prey falls, a new race begins, this time against time. Lions, hyenas, and even birds of prey can appear from anywhere, ready to steal the fruits of the hunt. So the cheetah devours as much as possible in the first few minutes, while it is still the owner of the meal. The cheetah must recover from the physical exertion of the chase before it can fully defend its kill. Its body temperature at the end of a full sprint has risen to nearly 41 degrees Celsius, 1 degree below the threshold of brain damage. It needs 20 to 30 minutes to cool down, and in those minutes the savanna converges. For females with cubs, the struggle is even crueler. Each generation, only 5% of cubs survive their first year of life. Brutal competition, larger predators, and the dangers of the savanna leave virtually no margin for error. But nature is wise, and the young are born with an advantage. A ruffled coat on their backs that makes them resemble the feared honey badger, a ferocious animal that few dare to confront. This mimicry, if that is what it is, may buy young cheetah cubs precious seconds of hesitation from a predator uncertain of what it has found. In the savanna, seconds are the currency of survival. Additionally, the cubs emit high-pitched, discrete sounds similar to birdsong, allowing communication with the mother without drawing unwanted attention. In the dance of life and death of the Serengeti, the cheetah is the master of speed and precision. But just as on the ground, in the skies there are those who observe and attack with equal majesty. And there, the dominion belongs to the martial eagle. Polymatus bellicosus. With a wingspan that can reach 2.60 meters, the martial eagle is the largest eagle in Africa and one of the most feared predators of the skies. The sky above the Serengeti is not empty space. It is another ecosystem, layered and complex, with its own territories and hierarchies and competitions. Vultures circle at 2,000 meters, scanning for death. Hawks work the middle altitudes, hunting small mammals in the long grass. And above them all, in the high thermals where the air is thin and the view is total, the martial eagle surveys a kingdom measured in hundreds of square kilometers. From the heights, it watches everything. Its eyes, 10 times more powerful than human eyes, detect the smallest movement on the ground, even from great distances. Gliding silently on warm air currents, it selects its target with calm and strategy. Monkeys, young antelopes, birds, and even smaller predators can become victims of this winged hunter. The martial eagle's vision is so acute that it has been compared to a human looking through a pair of quality binoculars, permanently. The eagle sees the individual hairs on a mongoose moving through grass 500 meters below. It sees the flicker of an ear, the shift of a tail, the moment an animal separates from the group. It processes all of this information in real time, builds a model of the prey's movement, calculates the intercept trajectory, and adjusts continuously as it descends. When it decides to strike, it launches into a low-diving flight that can reach up to 160 kilometers per hour. The impact is devastating. With powerful talons capable of crushing bones with ease, the martial eagle seizes its prey and carries it upward, far from the reach of terrestrial competitors. It is an attack so fast and precise that the victim often does not even realize what hit it. Beyond its strength, the martial eagle plays a vital role in the ecological balance. By controlling the populations of smaller species, it helps maintain the delicate cycle of life in the Serengeti. Its presence in the skies is a reminder that even at the top of the food chain, there is always someone watching and hunting. From the ground to the sky, the savanna is a chessboard where every move counts. As the journey leads us beyond the open plains, the landscape of Tanzania transforms. The dry savannas give way to dense, green forests cut through by rivers and small lakes. The air changes, heavier with moisture, rich with the smell of decomposing leaves and flowering trees. The sounds change too. The open savanna has a quality of silence punctuated by drama. The forest is never silent. It hums and clicks and rustles and drips with a constant, layered complexity of biological activity. It is on the shores of Lake Manyara that we find the true giants of the African land, the elephants. Loxodonta africana. Lake Manyara National Park sits at the base of the Great Rift Valley's western escarpment, a dramatic wall of ancient rock that rises 600 meters above the valley floor. The park is narrow, only 50 kilometers long and averaging 10 kilometers wide, but it contains an extraordinary concentration of habitats: groundwater forest, open grassland, acacia woodland, and the alkaline lake itself. This compression of environments into a small space creates a density of wildlife that surprises even experienced visitors. Home to one of the largest populations in East Africa, Lake Manyara National Park shelters between 300 and 400 African elephants. Imposing and majestic, they move with an almost silent grace, despite weighing up to 6,000 kilograms and reaching up to 4 meters in height. The paradox of the elephant is its combination of enormity and quiet. These are the largest land animals on Earth, capable of demolishing a tree with a single push of their forehead. And yet a herd of elephants can move through the forest in near silence, their footpads absorbing the sound of their passage, their enormous bodies navigating narrow paths through dense vegetation with surprising delicacy. Their large ears, shaped like the map of Africa itself, sway in the wind and serve a vital function, regulating body temperature on days of intense heat. An elephant's ear is laced with a dense network of blood vessels running just beneath the thin skin. The elephant fans these ears to increase blood flow to the surface, where the ambient air cools the blood before it returns to the body's core. In the intense heat of a Tanzanian afternoon, this mechanism can reduce an elephant's core body temperature by several degrees, the difference between comfort and heat stroke for an animal whose mass prevents efficient cooling by any other means. Their long, curved tusks, true symbols of power, serve not only for digging in search of roots and water, but are also powerful weapons of defense and tools that transform the environment wherever they pass. An elephant's tusk is an incisor tooth, modified, extended, continuously growing throughout the animal's life. They are used to strip bark from trees, to dig for water in dry riverbeds, to lever up roots and mineral-rich soil. But they are also weapons of significant force. A male elephant's tusk strike can kill a lion. And they are, tragically, the reason elephants have been hunted nearly to extinction across their range. The ivory trade, driven by human desire for carved ornaments, has cost the African elephant population more than 1 million individuals over the past century. The herds at Manyara carry this history. Many of the older females bear no tusks, having evolved in populations under intense poaching pressure, where tusklessness, once a rare mutation, became a survival advantage. But what truly distinguishes elephants is the complexity of their social relationships. Led by an older, experienced female known as the matriarch, the groups move in an organized and protective manner. The matriarch is the group's memory. She is the eldest, the most experienced, the one who has seen drought and flood and migration, who knows the location of dry season water holes and the routes through difficult terrain that her mother showed her, who was shown them by her mother before that. Matriarchs have been documented leading their families to water sources during extreme droughts that younger animals had never experienced. Knowledge carried in a single mind, irreplaceable and fragile. The calves walk in the center of the formation, sheltered by the adult females, who never leave them vulnerable. A baby elephant is not simply cared for by its mother, it is cared for by the entire herd. Aunts and older siblings share feeding duties, play with the young, discipline them gently, and form a protective ring around them when danger approaches. This is not instinct, it is culture. Behavior learned, refined, and transmitted across generations. The males, in turn, spend much of their lives in small groups or alone, returning to the herds only during mating season. This social dynamic maintains the balance and strength of the group, making elephants true guardians of the forest and savanna. In the exuberant environment of Lake Manyara, where water is abundant and vegetation is rich, elephants find refuge and sustenance. As they move through the forests and lake margins, they leave deep marks on the ecosystem. By knocking down trees to reach the highest leaves, or digging the ground in search of minerals, they open clearings and create new pathways, allowing other species to thrive as well. The ecological role of elephants extends far beyond what is immediately visible. They are keystone species, species whose impact on their environment is disproportionately large relative to their population size. Remove them, and the ecosystem shifts in fundamental ways. The clearings they create allow light to reach the forest floor, stimulating the growth of understory plants that feed dozens of other species. The water holes they dig with their tusks in dry riverbeds become the only water source for miles around, accessed by every animal in the landscape. Their dung, scattered across vast distances, disperses the seeds of hundreds of plant species and fertilizes the soil around each one. And not far from the heavy footsteps of these giants, another primate lives in large, complex groups. The olive baboon, Papio anubis, with around 1,000 individuals living near Lake Manyara, has become an essential part of the landscape and ecological balance of the region. Its scientific name carries an ancestral echo, Anubis, the Egyptian god with a jackal's head, and its presence is a reminder that not all survival challenges depend on brute strength. The baboon is perhaps the most socially sophisticated non-human primate in Africa. It lives in a world of alliances, betrayals, long memories, and calculated reciprocity that researchers have spent decades mapping. A baboon troop is not simply a group of animals moving together. It is a political entity, with factions and power blocks and long-running grudges and surprising friendships. The social intelligence required to navigate this complexity is, by some measures, comparable to our own. Living in troops that can range from 20 to more than 100 individuals, olive baboons have a complex and hierarchical social structure. Dominant males occupy the highest positions, but it is the females who ensure the stability of the group, forming lasting bonds throughout their lives. Female baboons inherit social rank from their mothers, and those ranks are stable across years and even decades. High-ranking females have better access to food and water, experience lower stress levels, and raise more surviving offspring. The hierarchy is not incidental to baboon life, it is its organizing principle. It is in the small daily interactions, while feeding, playing, or engaged in mutual grooming, that bonds are strengthened. Grooming in baboon society is not primarily about hygiene, it is currency. Time spent grooming a partner is an investment in a relationship, a debt created, an alliance cemented, a favor banked for later. Baboons track these exchanges over time. An animal that receives grooming but rarely reciprocates will find itself without partners when it needs them most. The mutual grooming system is, in essence, a biological economy of trust. In the forests and savannas of Manyara, baboons are tireless. They scour the ground and trees in search of fruits, leaves, small insects, and even smaller prey. But at the same time, they must always remain alert. Predators like leopards and hyenas lurk in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to attack. When danger approaches, the group unites. The stronger males move to the front, while the females protect the young and juveniles. And if necessary, everyone becomes a single force, shouting and attacking the enemy with impressive courage. A coordinated baboon troop can chase off a single leopard or harass a hyena until it abandons its intentions. Numbers and noise, organized by social cohesion, protect individuals that no individual could protect alone. As the sun rises over Lake Manyara National Park, a spectacle of colors takes over the horizon. The blue sky is reflected in the shallow, alkaline waters of the lake, while thousands of flamingos arrive, painting the landscape in shades of pink. These tones contrast with the lush green of the surrounding vegetation. Lake Manyara, with an area that varies between 230 and 330 square kilometers depending on the season, is one of the most well-known alkaline lakes in East Africa. With a pH reaching 10.5, its waters are hostile to many, but for flamingos, this is paradise. The alkalinity of the water, derived from volcanic minerals leached from the Rift Valley's geological substrate, creates conditions that would dissolve the mucous membranes of most animals. Flamingos wade through it on legs armored with scales tougher than those of most reptiles, their eyes protected by thick membranes. They have evolved specifically for this extreme environment, and in doing so, they have monopolized a food source, the dense blooms of alkaline-tolerant algae that almost nothing else can access. During the rainy season, the lake transforms into a temporary sanctuary for two types of birds: the greater flamingo, Phenicopterus roseus, and the lesser flamingo, Phoenicanias minor. Attracted by the algae that proliferate in the mineral-rich waters, these long-legged, long-necked birds gather by the thousands, forming a natural spectacle of rare beauty. They feed tirelessly, filtering algae with their specialized beaks, while their feathers take on the vibrant pink hue that makes them so famous. The flamingo's pink coloration is not genetic, it is dietary. The carotenoid pigments in the algae they consume are metabolized and deposited in the feathers, turning them from white at birth to the brilliant pink of a healthy adult. A flamingo fed a diet without carotenoids would fade to white within months. The color is a signal. Bright pink indicates a well-fed, healthy bird, a desirable mate. In the world of the flamingo, beauty and nutrition are the same thing. A synchronized ballet unfolds on the surface of the lake. Every movement, every step in the water is part of a choreography shaped by instinct and the search for food. The display behaviors of flamingos, the synchronized head flagging, the group marching in formation, the sudden coordinated changes of direction, serve a social function, stimulating breeding hormones and synchronizing the reproductive cycles of thousands of birds simultaneously. A flamingo colony breeds together, and a display that engages more birds more intensely produces a more synchronized nesting event, which floods the colony with chicks at once. The same dilution strategy the wildebeest use, protecting individual offspring by overwhelming the capacity of predators to take them all. And in the skies above, gliding slowly like a sovereign of the air, the African fish eagle, Haliatus vocifer, observes every detail of this vibrant scene, with its pure white feathers contrasting with the dark brown of its body and wings. The African fish eagle is one of the most iconic images of the lakes and rivers of Tanzania. The call of the African fish eagle is one of the defining sounds of the African continent. It is the sound that has been used in countless documentaries, the sound that, once heard, is instantly recognized as Africa. A wild yelping cry that seems to rise from someplace older than civilization, carrying across the water with a clarity that makes distance irrelevant. When a fish eagle calls, every other creature on the lake pauses, however briefly, to register the sound. This bird of prey dominates the margins of Great Lakes like Manyara, Tanganyika, and Victoria. With a wingspan that can reach 2.20 meters and a weight of up to 3.5 kilograms, it glides with unmatched elegance, using the wind to its advantage. From the heights, its sharp eyes detect any movement in the water. Fish, frogs, and even unwary birds can become victims. When it locates its prey, the eagle dives with impressive precision, reaching speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour. Its talons, sharp and powerful like iron pincers, grip the fish with enough force to prevent any attempt at escape. The fish eagle's feet are specially adapted for their purpose. The outer toe is reversible, like an owl's, allowing it to grip with 2 toes in front and 2 behind, maximizing the contact surface on a slippery, struggling fish. The sole of each toe is covered with short, stiff spines called spicules, which further enhance grip on wet, scaled prey. The whole foot is a precision instrument engineered by millions of years of selection for a single purpose: catching fish and not letting go. Studies reveal that this aerial hunter has a success rate of between 50% and 60% in its attacks. A remarkable figure for any predator. The precision and strength of its talons allow it to lift fish weighing up to 2 kilograms from the water, rising with the prey firmly between its toes. But the fish eagle does not live on fish alone. Its diet also includes aquatic birds and small mammals that venture near the banks. When food becomes scarce, it does not hesitate to feed on carrion, demonstrating its incredible capacity for adaptation. Far from the interior of Tanzania, crossing the Indian Ocean, the Zanzibar archipelago emerges, a green jewel floating between crystal-clear waters and vibrant coral reefs. Here, among tropical forests and mangroves, lives one of the rarest and most fascinating primates of the African continent, the Zanzibar red colobus, Pileocolobus kirki. With its reddish fur on its back, it is unique, found only on this island. Zanzibar is geologically isolated, separated from the mainland long enough that species evolved independently on its shores, developing into forms found nowhere else on Earth. The red colobus is one of these endemic species, shaped by island conditions into something distinct from all of its mainland relatives. It is also one of the most critically endangered primates in Africa, its population squeezed into shrinking forest fragments by a human population that has grown to nearly 2 million on an island less than 1,000 square kilometers in area. Adapted to life in the treetops, this primate spends its days leaping between branches, always in search of the leaves that make up the majority of its diet. The red colobus is a folivore, a leaf eater, in a world where most primates prefer fruits, insects, and seeds. Leaves are abundant and require no pursuit, but they are also difficult to digest, high in cellulose and often loaded with defensive chemicals that would poison most animals. The red colobus has evolved a specialized multi-chambered stomach, similar in principle to the rumen of a cow, that can break down cellulose and neutralize many plant toxins. This digestive innovation grants access to a food source that is essentially invisible to competitors. Unlike other monkeys, the red colobus has a sensitive digestive system that does not process sugars well, making it dependent on the young, tender leaves found in the forests and mangroves. This specificity of diet, young leaves, particular species, particular parts of the tree, means the colobus is exquisitely sensitive to any change in its forest habitat. Loss of even a small area of forest can remove key plant species that the colobus depends on, triggering nutritional stress that cascades into reduced reproduction and increased mortality. Despite its ecological importance, red colobuses live under constant threat. Today, it is estimated that between 5,000 and 5,500 individuals remain, the majority protected in the Jozani Forest Reserve, a small number for such an emblematic animal of the island. The Aldabra giant tortoise, living monument. But Zanzibar holds another treasure of nature, a giant that seems to have crossed the centuries. The Aldabra giant tortoise, Aldebractylis gigantea, originally from the Seychelles archipelago, was reintroduced to Zanzibar as part of an effort to preserve not only the tortoise, but also the unique ecosystem of the island. The giant tortoise is time-made flesh. To stand beside one, its shell level with your waist, its ancient, deliberate gaze directed somewhere beyond the immediate, its movements so slow they seem geological, is to understand viscerally that there are other timescales in the world besides the human one. This animal was alive before your grandparents were born. It may still be alive when your grandchildren's grandchildren are old. It has no interest in hurry, no concept of urgency. It is built for centuries, and it moves accordingly. Today, around 200 individuals live under protection, walking slowly through the fields and beaches of the region. With up to 1.20 meters in length, and a weight ranging between 250 and 300 kilograms, some reaching 400 kilograms, the Aldabra giant tortoise is a true living witness to time. Its dark gray shell and thick legs support a body built to withstand the adversities of the environment. Capable of living more than 120 years, these tortoises move with a calm that contrasts with the hurry of the nature surrounding them. They traverse the preservation areas, feeding on grass, leaves, and fallen fruit, controlling vegetation growth and maintaining the balance of their habitat. But their presence goes beyond that of natural gardeners. Small birds and other animals frequently follow in the wake of the tortoises, taking advantage of the insects stirred up around them, or the trails they open in the vegetation. On the coast, the waves of the Indian Ocean murmur, while these giants follow their path, oblivious to the passage of time. Between the blue sky and the green of the forests, the Zanzibar red colobus leaps from branch to branch, and the Aldabra tortoise advances slowly across the warm ground. ground. Two extremes of life on the island, each fulfilling its role in the preservation of this African paradise. And so, Zanzibar reveals itself as one of the richest and most delicate sanctuaries of Tanzania, a place where the balance between land, sea, and wildlife is maintained daily by unique creatures that carry upon their backs and in their branches the continuity of an entire ecosystem. On the sun-drenched plains of Arusha National Park, an elegant silhouette stands out against the blue sky, the Masai Giraffe. Giraffa camelopardalis tippleskirchi. With its long neck and graceful movements, it traverses the savanna as if gliding across the African horizon. The giraffe's neck is one of evolution's most famous puzzles. The traditional explanation, that longer necks allowed ancestors to reach higher leaves, is almost certainly true. But it is not the complete story. Male giraffes use their necks as weapons in contests over females, swinging their heads like biological wrecking balls in battles called necking fights. Males with longer, heavier necks win more of these contests, mate more frequently, and pass their genes on. Sexual selection may have pushed the neck's length beyond what feeding efficiency alone would require, creating a positive feedback loop where longer necks both fed their owners better and won them more mates. Among all giraffe subspecies, this is the largest and most imposing. Adult males of this species can reach an impressive 6 meters in height and weigh up to 1,000 kilograms. Their majestic stature is complemented by irregular patches of deep brown covering their body, serving as perfect camouflage among the canopies of acacias and baobabs. Their extremely agile tongue, which can reach 45 centimeters, allows the Masai giraffe to reach the highest leaves, inaccessible to any other herbivore of the savanna. The tongue is dark purple-black, pigmented heavily with melanin, that protects it from sunburn during the long hours it spends exposed to the African sun. The thorny acacias, feared by many, are for the giraffe a plentiful and nutritious meal. The giraffe's lips and tongue are thick enough, and its saliva copious enough, to neutralize the acacia's chemical defenses and slide past its thorns without injury. The acacia and the giraffe have co-evolved over millions of years, the tree developing defenses, the giraffe developing countermeasures, in an evolutionary arms race that has made both more complex. During the dry season, when food becomes scarce on the plains, the giraffe's long neck becomes its greatest advantage. By feeding on the green canopies that resist above the arid ground, it can hold firm where others succumb. Each bite, meticulously calculated, allows it to feed without destroying the tree, ensuring that the cycle of life continues. But even this serene creature carries with it the weight of the savanna's battles. The young are frequent targets of predators, and the adults, despite their imposing presence, must always remain alert. Drinking is the giraffe's moment of maximum vulnerability. To lower its head to a waterhole, it must spread or bend its front legs into an awkward splayed position that makes rapid flight nearly impossible. In those seconds, lions have their window. Giraffes drink as quickly as possible, and they drink infrequently, tolerating dehydration longer than most animals rather than expose themselves to the waterhole risk more than necessary. The neck, symbol of power and survival, is also used in territorial disputes, when males engage in true duels with violent head strikes, a ballet of strength and endurance. Above the plains and the treetops, another character observes in silence, the white-backed vulture. Gyps africanus. One of the largest scavengers of Africa, soaring over the lands of the Serengeti and surroundings, playing a crucial, though often underestimated, role in the cycle of life. The vulture is unloved. Its bald head, evolved not as an aesthetic failing, but as a hygienic adaptation, allowing it to plunge deep into carcasses without fouling a feathered face, marks it visually as something apart from the soaring eagles and colorful songbirds that attract human admiration. Its association with death makes it a symbol of bad omen in many cultures. This reputation is almost entirely undeserved. The vulture is one of the most ecologically valuable species on the African continent, a biological sanitation service of extraordinary efficiency. With a wingspan that can reach 230 meters, the white-backed vulture is capable of detecting carcasses from several kilometers away. Its flight, high and precise, is guided by sharp vision, always in search of the sign of death that will mark the next banquet. But vultures also watch each other. When one bird descends, others converge from across the sky, following the behavioral signal of a dropping bird in a communication chain that can alert hundreds of vultures to a carcass within minutes. This network of aerial observation means that nothing large that dies on the Serengeti remains undetected for long. Unlike the great predators, the vulture does not hunt, it waits. But when the opportunity arises, it descends rapidly in a spiral to the ground, where, together with others of its kind, it consumes everything that remains. Within hours, a group of white-backed vultures can reduce the carcass of a zebra to polished bones. A single vulture's stomach acid is strong enough to destroy pathogens, anthrax, botulism, cholera, that would kill any mammalian scavenger. The vulture is not just consuming the carcass. It is sterilizing it, removing dangerous bacterial loads from the environment before they can spread to the water table or to other animals. This cleaning work goes far beyond feeding. By rapidly eliminating dead remains from the savanna, the vulture prevents the spread of disease and maintains a healthy environment for all species. It is the invisible guardian of the savanna's health, ensuring that the death of one becomes the life of many. In the heights, the vulture shares the sky with eagles and other scavengers in a silent dispute for the right to keep the land below free from decomposition. And just as the giraffe shapes the savanna by feeding from the highest canopies, the vulture sculpts the balance by consuming what remains below. Two opposite faces of the same nature, the elegance of life in the heights and the efficiency of death that clears the way. And it is in this perfect cycle that the savanna breathes and moves forward. In the vast and wild Tanzania, every creature, every river, every tree, and every grain of sand composes a delicate balance. From the terrestrial giants to the silent hunters, from the lightness of the birds to the weight of the predators, everything connects in an ancient dance where survival dictates the rhythm of life. This grand scenario is not just a visual spectacle, it is a constant lesson in adaptation and strength. A land where winning does not mean dominating, but finding your place in the invisible web that sustains the African ecosystem. Consider what this web looks like when seen whole. The rains fall on the highlands and run into the Serengeti's rivers, filling the water holes that sustain 1.5 million wildebeest. The wildebeest graze the grass, controlling its height and distributing its seeds in their dung. Their passage churns the soil, aerating it, allowing water to penetrate. Their carcasses, the 250,000 that will not complete the circle, feed lions and hyenas and leopards and cheetahs, sustain vultures and jackals and beetles and flies, fertilize the grass that will feed the calves born in the next cycle. The elephants at Manyara knock down trees, creating clearings that allow new growth, digging water holes that serve dozens of species, dispersing seeds across hundreds of kilometers in their wandering. The baboons scatter fruit seeds in the forest, maintaining the plant diversity that feeds the insects, that feed the birds, that feed the eagles. The flamingos at Manyara filter algae from water so alkaline it would burn a human hand, converting mineral-rich soup into pink-feathered bodies that, when they die, return those minerals to the mud, feeding the next generation of algae, sustaining the cycle that has run continuously since the lake formed in the ancient rift. The fish eagle takes the fish, the crocodile takes the impala, the leopard takes the gazelle, and in each of these transactions, something is transferred, energy moving up the chain, weeding out the weak, sharpening the strong, keeping every population lean and tested and alert. Remove any thread of this web and the whole fabric shifts. Pull too many and it tears. Tanzania contains approximately 20% of Africa's large mammal population within its borders. It protects these populations across a system of national parks and game reserves that cover more than a quarter of the country's total land area, a commitment to conservation unmatched in scale by almost any other nation on Earth. But this protection is not static or guaranteed. Human population growth, agricultural expansion, climate change, and the relentless pressure of poverty create forces that push against the boundaries of these protected areas every day. The animals do not know about borders. The wildebeest does not understand that the fence marks the edge of the national park. The elephant does not negotiate with the farmer whose field it has trampled. The future of Tanzania's wild places will be written not in the behavior of lions or the movements of wildebeest, but in the choices of human beings, in the policies of governments, the decisions of communities living alongside wildlife, the values transmitted to the next generation about what wild things are worth and why. The savanna is patient. It has survived ice ages and volcanic eruptions and the extinction of species far more dominant than any alive today. It will survive long after every human civilization that currently exists has passed into history. The question is not whether the wild can survive us. The question is whether we will allow it to remain wild long enough for our children's children to stand at the edge of the Serengeti at dawn, with the dust rising and the lions roaring somewhere in the distance, and feel, as every human being who has ever stood there has felt, that they are standing at the beginning of the world. That feeling is not nostalgia. It is recognition. The ancient, wordless knowledge that this is where we came from, this is what we are part of, and this, all of this, the lion and the wildebeest and the crocodile and the vulture and the patient, ancient tortoise moving across the warm ground of Zanzibar, is what we must not lose. Wild Tanzania endures, may it always. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to leave your like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any episode. See you on the next adventure.